for those of us or the listeners who are still not familiar with this space, you mentioned about a few operators already, right? So Appfolio, Yardi, RealPage, Entrata. Could you give us a rundown on how this space is, what each of these players do, and where does PropUp fit in? For
Yes, definitely.
those of us who do not understand this space at all.
Yes. So if you're in the multifamily business, if you're an asset manager or a property manager or a mom and pop, even, you've got some software that's running the property at the property level, collecting or a place for tenants to pay rent, your primary accounting system, your GL for property operations expenses. That's the core of the PMS. Yardi at its core is an accounting software, but they also they try to do a full client experience for your resident. They'll do website hosting, they'll do background checks for new prospects, they run your leasing side to some extent. Again, rent payments happen on the PMS. And they all have strengths and weaknesses. Yardi is the most established player. They've been around forever. As a result of that, they kind of have a reputation for not the best UX, UI. It's a tough user experience, but it's a very sticky piece of software. And they go after middle market, upper middle market, and enterprise clients who have lots of properties, lots of employees, and tend to be kind of slow moving ships that don't like to migrate very often. So Yardi gets sticky and it's hard to move away from them. RealPage has kind of come on the scene through acquisitions over the last few years. They're as big or bigger than Yardi as a result of it. They seem to have a core business strategy of offering you tons of little a la carte add-ons to your existing kind of core feature set. Everything from data, resident and leasing data for all 6 million RealPage units to, digital make-ready boards, to anything you can imagine, they slap on and bundle it together at an added cost. Appfolio, we use at Old 300. We really like Appfolio. What it does really well. It's missing some feature sets still, but it's a very tech-forward company looking to kind of disrupt the space in a lot of the same ways we are. Entrata, similar profile. And, we could go on, but they all kind of have their niche and they're all going after certain segments of the market. Some of them, don't play past the kind of core middle market and some go all over.
Got it. So it seems like there are a lot of players solving the same problem, but they have somehow found a segment or a niche that is non-competing with the other players. Is that the right way to put it? Or they are also overlapping?
The former is correct. The latter, they definitely are all competing with each other.
Got it. Okay, got it. And okay, so amongst these players, the PropUp comes in. Where did you find a gap? Or are you also competing in the same space? How do you position yourself?
Importantly, we're not rip and replace with the PMS. So we're not asking anybody to migrate from Yardi to PropUp. We're telling you that PropUp makes Yardi better or Appfolio better. And as I mentioned a little bit, I hinted at it a little bit before, but the PMS is great for occupancy. And that's the mindset that they're in. That's what they think about. When your unit goes vacant, it's a vacant unit on a number of different reports and on your rent roll. And they think about turning that unit as you give notice or you receive notice from the resident, you tee up the make ready, that is getting it from, move out of the previous tenant to ready to rent for the next tenant. They think about the make ready and then, the leasing team running some kind of pre-leasing operation in the background. And they don't really, and then that's it. Then they don't really contemplate all of the different individuals or entities that might touch that vacancy along the way from move out to move in. And each of those touch points is a place for that unit to fall through the cracks. And when you lose days on your turns to unnecessary downtime, it's really easily quantifiable. Like you just take your either previous rent or your advertised rent and divide it by 30, and you know how much money you're losing a day to vacancy loss.
Right.
Plus, you already know that on a standard make ready, you're down 7 to 10 days minimum to get that unit ready to go. And that's assuming you've got it pre-leased for, the first possible available date. If you've got a renovation in today's climate, you're likely down 20 to 30 days minimum trying to get construction going, depending on the market you're in. If you're in a big city in the States and you've got to pull permits, you could be down a couple months.
Right.
So keeping things organized, not at just one unit, but across your entire portfolio where they're all in different steps. They've all got a new person coming to take over that particular step. Like it adds up very quickly. So what PropUp does is it sets up a workflow from move out to move in, and it automatically assigns an owner, a responsible party to each step of that flow. And those assignees can either be your team members at the construction management or at the property management level, or they can be vendors that work on your property, or they can be your third-party management company. It doesn't really matter, whatever your best practices are, we're going to help you hone them and improve them. But you get an assignee each step of the way. It notifies them when the turn enters into their step, and it provides a really simple workflow for them to oversee and complete that step of the process. And that's just kind of the beginning of what we do. We do a lot more than that, but at its core, that's what we started PropUp for.